It's feeling limitless. It's knowing that whatever physical or personal limitations that we have, that they're really all illusions, that they're not real, that our life can be what we want it to be. I saw a video, a young man who's literally no legs or arms. And when I say no arms, I mean at the shoulder. It wasn't just no hands. From the shoulder down, there was nothing. All he is a head and a torso, and his legs at the top of his thigh is as far as his legs go. So there are literally no legs or arms. And this man is a speaker. He goes around the world, and the passion and the energy. And he says, I would not have it any other way. I love my life, and I want to inspire everybody. And so when we think about all the gifts that we have, and here's this young man who's saying, I have everything. He said that when the kids would taunt him, he would look in the mirror and he would say to himself, I mean, this was a very wise young child. He would look in the mirror and say, look at those eyes. Man, are they gorgeous? Whatever phraseology he used, it was like, you're a knockout. Look at you. And he did it with that energy and that positivity and that essentially saying, I love you. You are incredible. Mm-hmm. And most people would look at this young man and say, oh my, you know, what a horrible way to go through life. And here most of us have so much more, and we're looking at how horrible our lives are. Mm-hmm. And here's this man who was able to overcome his thoughts and other people's thoughts, and resisting that taunting and that negativity, and saying, I'm not allowing it. I've got an incredible life. I've got breath. I've got eyesight. I can speak. I can create the life that I want, and it's just full and feeds me and fills me with joy and light and love.
Yeah, and we also played and listened to some speeches of some other people that kind of represent the concept of freedom. It's really interesting. I got to hear Don Beck here in Dallas a couple of weeks ago, who wrote the Spiral Dynamics textbook and how to look at different people and how they relate to each other. And he worked a lot to help South Africa become what it is today, and that involved Nelson Mandela. It was really interesting reading about and talking about his speeches, because there's a man that was in prison for many, many years, I think like 17 years or something like that. But you know what? All the time that he was physically in that prison, he never thought of himself in prison. He thought of himself as free. And it was never a question, would he ever be free again? Would he ever pursue his interests? He was pursuing his interests when he was in jail. And he came to understand very, very early on that that freedom was very much a state of mind, not just a physical location. And it seems to be like that's what you're talking about in these ways, about just really knowing who you are, not limiting yourself, and not looking at anything in your life as being any type of physical limitation, but just being able to see beyond that and empower yourself to really be the powerful person that you're meant to be.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know, but we lost you for part of the, at least I lost you. I couldn't hear you. But your main message that it's in our mind, and that Nelson Mandela understood that, mm-hmm. and was able to work with his mind. And when you read inspirational stories of people who have overcome incredible adversity, torture, and concentration camps, and being a prisoner of war, and were able to use their mind to create a life that gave them hope and positivity and preventing them from sinking into despair, which is what their captors wanted. Some people wrote their book in their head. Some people played chess games. Some people, created plays with their family and would have conversations and experiences, and a fantasy life, yes, but it was real too, and a whole lot better than allowing the transitory pain that they were living in, not allowing it to destroy them. Being reality-based, it wasn't like they went off into Never Never Land and didn't come back. I mean, they understood where they were. They also knew what they had to do to keep their sanity, and they did it. And if people can do that when they're under the most extreme of circumstances, we can do that when we live in this world of bountiful abundance and opportunity, especially in America. And there's another sentence, affirmation that I've mentioned before, and I want to say it again here because this idea, I'm still hearing people, even in Dallas, Texas, where we're doing quite well. People are moving here because of the economy in other cities and states. And still people are turning on that news every day, waking up to it, going to bed to it, and filling their mind with negativity. I stopped listening to the radio and television news and even reading on the internet. Every now and then I'll tune in or look up the news on the internet, but for the most part, I don't want it bringing me down. There's too much negativity. I wrote a letter to the editor years ago of the Dallas Morning News, and I said, couldn't you do some balanced reporting and report some positive stories, uplifting stories? Even then I was talking about uplifting your life, because I'd open the paper and I'd cry. It was like, this isn't the way I want to live. And it's not that there's not sadness and horrific things happening, but I know about that. I hear about it. I see it. I don't need it in my face, the first thing and the last thing that I see and think and hear in my day. And so I encourage you to find ways we weed our gardens, weed your environment, weed your mind, take out and prevent from coming into your life those people, those experiences, those thoughts that bring you down. Stay away from it. And if it means losing some relationships, it may, but you'll regain your mind and your life. And then new relationships will come in that will bring you joy and uplifting your life, making it positive, making it happy. What's bad about that? We have to say no to what we don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. That reminds me of talking to this gentleman, Dr. DeMartini, who was in The Secret, another Texan. He's from Houston. He's actually from outside Dallas down there. And he was talking about meeting Paul Bragg as a young kid. And he was talking to him about the whole concept of gardening and your mind being a garden. And he said, you need to weed out the garden, but you also have to plant positivity in your mind too, because if you keep planting positive thoughts and positive information and you read uplifting literature, you watch uplifting things, you listen to uplifting music, you're planting in your garden. You're not just removing the weeds, which is good, but you're also planting a lot of positive things that take root and grow so that there's no room for the weeds to come back in. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what you do. That makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of like what you're talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's bringing in the light. We talked about the meditation with Archangel Michael. And actualize that. Weed out the negative from your life, the thoughts, the people, the experience, the beliefs, the ideas. Take them out, literally. And bring in the positive. Read books. Look at movies. Talk to people who have overcome adversity, who make you feel good, and will fill you with, I can. There is hope. I can do this, and I will. Okay? And I intend to do this. And yes, we can learn a huge amount from looking at how people have turned adversity into positive. And music is wonderful. There was This Is the Time of Your Life was a song that I listened to at one period a couple years ago, over and over again. Every morning I'd start it. My day with that, to pump me up, to get me positive, to help me feel the truth of every day is the time of our life. If we make it that, every day can be the time of our life. There's a wonderful book. It was written a while ago, and it's still incredible, by Rachel Naomi Remen, R-E-M-E-N. Rachel Naomi Remen, Kitchen Table Wisdom. Kitchen Table Wisdom. Very simple. And she has Crohn's disease. She also has an incredible career as an MD and she runs a healing center now in Stanford, California. She was also a head of internal medicine at Stanford University. She has had an incredible career through her own adversity and did not let it stop her. When her parents wanted her to quit school when she was diagnosed, she said no. And she has lived the life that she wanted to live, and she has inspired others. And the book Kitchen Table Wisdom is about people who she counseled, who came to her when they were in their darkest hours. MDs who treated people with terminal diagnoses, cancer patients who were given terminal diagnoses. And each chapter is the story of each person's story in this group that she had counseled. And it's uplifting because it's how each person found wisdom and joy within their adversity, and were grateful for what had come to them. Somebody else may say, ooh, that was an awful thing for them to have to experience. And many of them died. Some of them did get well. But the point was, regardless of the outcome of their illness, it was the wisdom that they gained and the value to whatever life they had left, to live it from a better, more positive place than they had ever lived their life before. So in our darkest moments, we can still find the gratitude, the joy, the wisdom. We can change our lives in any moment, and we can use adversity or we can use joy. And it's not right or wrong. We need it all. We need the dark and the light. We need all of it to grow and to learn, and we need to bless it all, because I wouldn't be me, you wouldn't be you, none of us would be who we were if we didn't have every bit of the path that we had taken. What would we take out? We'd be somebody different. Yeah. And so it's to bless it all, and also to say, I want more of the positive, more of the joy, more of the good in my life, and I can do it, and I am doing it, and I intend to do it. And I'm grateful for each and every way that I'm doing it and thing that's happening in my life, and look at it, bless it, be aware of it, so that you know consciously how you're growing and how you're changing, and what a wonderful, joyous journey it is, and that you're doing it. Not everybody is willing to do it. And you have the courage, the strength, the wisdom to do it. And pat yourself on the back.